After compiling the highest stat numbers from each player in the Bastard Mutant team and combining them to create the ultimate stat tree, we determined that the team's overall rating would be an S-ranked 95 rating, which I deduce will most likely be the highest of all the teams, and today we're gonna put that to the test. We'll do that by creating Italy's overall ratings in the exact same way, using the player stats that we currently know of. You know, it's gonna be really interesting to see if by the end all the ratings match the team's actual finishing position in the NEL, so please Kaneshiro, give us all the players' ratings by then, otherwise Barcha will be done so dirty. Okay, so in the Italian stratum, we have the Ubers team, led by the best player in the world, Mark Snuffy. What a legend. And similarly to Bastard Mutant, Ubers are graced by the presence of a new Gen 11 player, and so it should even the playing field a little when comparing them to Noel Noah's team. Now, being an Italian team, I fully expect for this team to be the most defensively stacked, but we may be in for a few pleasant surprises. Oh, and these stats are the latest ones up until chapter 254 of the manga, so that's just after the Ubers match. Now this time round, our roster is made up of 6 players, which is pretty much every relevant player in the Ubers team. This means that we'll be taking a look at Blue Lock's self-proclaimed king, Shohei Baro, former captain of the Japan U20 team, Oliver Aiku, the Watchtower, Nico Iki, the stylish Aribe, Mr. Hollywood himself, Sendo Shuto, and finally, Uber's own new Gen 11 representative, the Ace Eater, one of the best names in the series, Don Lorenzo. Now to get this done, we'll be going through each player's stats and adding them to our team stat tree, picking out the highest stats each time and then determining the overall rating based on the average. We'll do this in order of lowest overall rated player to the highest overall. But before we start, I'm going to ask you all to please like the video if you haven't already. We're about to get to the good part, and please make sure you're subscribed to the channel to keep up with this series. And let me know in the comment section if you like the series and which teams you're most looking forward to comparing. As soon as we hit 300 likes, I'll make sure to release the next part. Also, if you haven't seen the Bastard Mutant overall team rating video, I'll link it in the description so you can check it out once you're done with this one. Now with all that out of the way, let's create our Ubers team overall rating. So starting us off with the lowest overall rating in Ubers out of all our blue lockers, it's the stylish Aribe. Quite the surprise considering this guy was ranked 2nd in the 2nd selection and plays on a team with Sendo. Anyways, his overall rating of 80 doesn't inspire much fire, as we see he's really just an average player all around, with B's and C's in his ledger, but as you've probably noticed, he does excel in one metric, and perhaps the most important one when it comes to his position in the Ubers team, and that's in defense. A rating of 90 means there's only 2 blue lockers with higher defensive stats than him, and one of them is a goalkeeper. Plus, his tall, slender frame makes him a huge aerial threat, but I'm sure if he bulks up a little bit more, adds a few more pounds of muscles to his frame, then he'll probably never lose another aerial battle again, like the time when Dada Silva absolutely bodied him. Now the base of our ultimate team stat tree looks like this, with RU's stats so far taking center stage. I think it's time for us to add on to it with our next player, who has a lot of room to grow, but I won't lie, I can actually see some potential here. And this player being Japan Under-20's former ace striker and the man with the newfound ambition of marrying a Hollywood actress, Sendo Shuto. Coming in with an overall rating of 81, his stats tree actually makes for pretty bland reading, with nothing truly jumping out at you. Everything's well balanced at A and B grade, his highest rating actually being an 84 in offense, which isn't spectacular. Perhaps the most notable thing to point out here is his 83 in shooting, which is 1 point higher than Isagi's current shooting. It's hard to believe this is who Japan thought was the next rising star in attack, but I guess now that he's in the Blue Lock program and has survived the NEL, we should be able to see some level of improvement in these metrics. Like I said, plenty of room to grow, but in what direction? I couldn't tell you, mate. Now adding Sendo's stats to our team's graph means he pretty much takes over on all metrics barring defense, which is still the only S-class stat we have so far between these two players. Let's hope the next 4 can help fix that. Our third player coming into this is the young talented learner, Nico, who has a respectable 82 overall rating, which isn't all that bad in my opinion. When we look at Nico's stats, we see he's both good at offense with 82 and in defense with 84. To put that into perspective, there's only Raito that we know of who has a higher defensive stat than his without being S ranked. Everyone else with higher defense is a 90 plus defender, and I can only imagine the kid will get better in this metric as he grows older. Now, although Nico doesn't have any stats at S rank yet, he does have one standout stat that is very close. 88 in passing, something I didn't expect in all honesty. I just didn't know it was quite this good. This makes him as good a passer as Bachira, which is just one below Rayo's 89 in passing. Very impressive. Now, one thing that completely baffles me here is this. Comparing Nico to Isagi, we see that Nico beats him in everything barring offense and shooting, and yet there's such a big gap in their overall rating, with Isagi being 88 whilst Nico being just 82. This tells me that the overall ratings are highly skewed towards attacking stats, as any player we see with high offense also has high overalls apart from Yukimiya. He's an anomaly. Seems to me he's just not rated. Cool. Now adding Nico's stats to the mix, we see that although we still don't have any S-rank stats outside of defense, what we do have is improved passing at 88, pushing it to A rank, whilst the rest remains the same. At this rate, I think this is an easy wash for BM. Hopefully our next player can change the tide. Presenting former Japan U20 captain and defensive maestro and nationally renowned ladies man, Captain Oliver Aiku, with a very surprising A-rank overall rating at just 85. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing as you guys. It seems very low and underwhelming. Yet another example of how offensive stats skew these overall ratings. But I guess it shouldn't be much of a surprise since the Japan U20 team was actually a pretty poor side overall, evident in the fact that only 3 players made it through the NEL and into the World Cup squad. Yeah, if not for his outstanding defensive prowess at 93 rating, Aiku would be seen as just another average player in this pool of exceptional talents. And once we add his stats into our team's tree, we see that he doesn't really move the needle much, except pushing the defense stat up by 3. Everything else remains the same. I'm not gonna lie.
It's not looking good, bruv.
Only 2 players left, and this time round, we have a true predatory striker, the self-proclaimed king of the field, and Blue Lock's Joker card, Baros Shohei, an S-ranked 92 rated player. Baros truly lives up to the hype. Not only is his offense stat higher than that of Isagi's at 95, his shooting is the best we've seen of any Blue Lock player at 96. Just 2 below Kaiser. I'm so curious to see what Rin's shooting stats will be too. That should truly be an interesting comparison. And Baros also boasts close to S-rank dribbling at 88, which just adds to his overall attacking threat. An interesting comparison for Baros would actually be the Blue Rose Emperor himself, Michael Kaiser. Both similar in their offensive bias, and Kaiser only just beats him out in offense by 1 point and shooting by 2, so it's super close. Their dribbling skills are also very close, with Baros' 88 edging Kaiser's 86, and in truth, Kaiser wins in all other metrics including passing and defense, and especially in speed at 91, making it S-ranked, and really, that's what sets the new gen apart from all the other players so far. Where the S-rank Blue Lockers hold 1 or 2 S-rank stats, the new gen stars hold at least 3, pushing up their overall ratings to near 100 status. Finally, we have a huge shift in our team's metrics, adding 2 S-rank parameters being offense at 95 and shooting at 96, as well as bumping up our dribbling to 88, which is a huge leap from the 77 we had before. So now, not only do we have 3 S-rank stats in our tree, we also don't have any stats below A rank, which should really help in this battle against Bastard Mutant. And finally, providing that final push for Ubers is the proprietor of the zombie style dribbling, the guy that sleeps less than Leandro Trossard, the ace eater himself, new gen 11 defender, Don Lorenzo. a super 96 overall rating. Don Lorenzo is more than just a defender. His offensive skill rivals that of most mid to low tier blue lockers remaining, and his 82 in shooting rivals that of Isagi's. Damn, I really do feel they did my boy Isagi dirty with his shooting stats, but I'm sure once we get updated, he'll be much more improved here. Now when it comes to Don Lorenzo's standout stats, let's first come to his 93 in dribbling. S-ranked ball manipulation only bettered by Bachira's 95. Even Ness and Yuki can't compare. For a defender to be this good at almost everything like this, it's no surprise he's a new Gen 11 player. In fact, he's good enough to be a starting midfielder for Blue Lock 11. And the crazy thing is, I actually think he's one of the weaker new gens we'll be facing in the series. So there's definitely a lot to be excited about. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room. The first and only 99 rating we've seen belongs to Don Lorenzo's defense. Even for Kaiser, the closest he got to 99 is his 98 in shooting, thanks to his Kaiser impact. But Don Lorenzo's ace-eating defense was more than a match for Kaiser's vision and shooting prowess. For me, I feel Kaneshiro nerfed him in the Ubers, and I think Don Lorenzo, outside of Uber's really strict and regimented system, is a different animal. That's why I reckon we see him truly pop off in the U20 World Cup alongside his Italian teammates. Then we'll truly see the S-ranked new Gen 11 player come to life. So in the end, this is what Uber's team stat tree looks like. With 3 total contributors this time round, with Nico giving us A-rank passing at 88 as a team's passing hub. Baros being the target man and focal point of the attack graces us with 2 S-ranked stats. A 95 in offensive play and 96 in shooting prowess with his hard to predict stealth kill shot. And finally, Don Lorenzo covers the rest of our stats, providing us with A-ranked 83 in speed. I'm convinced Ubers is the slowest team in the league because 83 is bad. But we make up for it with 93 in dribbling and finally an amazing 99 in defense, the strongest defense in the league. All this averaged out gives us a grand total overall rating of 92. A really respectable score, but let's see how it actually compares to Bastard Mutune's 95 overall rating side by side. And as we can see, although not by much, Bastard edges it on offense and shooting. Despite this, Ubers are actually way better defensively by 6 whole points and edge it on dribbling surprisingly enough. Now where the real differentiation lies is in the speed, where Kuruna brings BM 12 whole points above Uber's weak 83 speed. Alexis Ness ensures that Ubers would need 9 more points just to even match BM's passing numbers. This just shows to me how truly stacked Bastard Mutune's side was, with S rank all across the board and Isagi not even being a contributor to any of it. It's going to be so interesting to see how the other teams compare. I think Ubers versus Manshine should really be a close call overall. Although the lack of new Gen 11 player at Manshine should really see them fall below Uber's metrics. What do you guys think? The next team will of course be Manshine, and the 3 main guys there are all monsters in their own right. But will it be enough to usurp Bastard Mutune's throne? Well, to find out, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification and like this video. As soon as we hit 300 likes, I'll release the next one. And hopefully, Kaneshiro will also release some more stats so we can complete the series for Barcha and especially PXG. But till then, please make sure to take care and God bless.